If you were to name the top 10 MMOs or watch some tier list slop video about the top 10 MMOs, I guarantee you there wouldn't be a single indie title on that list. And I think that is downright criminal. And that's not to take away from the AAA studios. Some of them, rightly so, deserve their place in the top 10. But in today's video, I want to give a shout out to the hipsters of the genre, the little guys, those trying to be different. So let's take a look at the top 10 indie MMOs you should check out in 2025. God, when did I turn into such a slop tuber? If I ever go down the dark path of making one of those shitty tier lists about the top MMOs to play solo, just take me out back and shoot me. I'm gonna go old yellow style. Oh yeah, before I forget, apparently the government really hates it when you don't do something called pay taxes. So can you guess what's coming next? Sponsor time! Thank you to Amazon Games for sponsoring today's video. Throne and Liberty is back with its biggest update yet, and it has a whole host of new features for you to check out.
Hyper Boost plus Gear Swap Reset.
The Hyper Boost servers will allow fast catch-up mechanics, and now with Tier 3 gear, it means a clean slate for new and returning players.
New servers.
Everyone can start fresh together, perfect for those trying to get back into the game.
Orb Weapon.
Fast-paced skill shot magic weapon that lets you place up to 3 orbs on the battlefield, controlling allies and enemies with precision.
Battleground.
Repeatable, rewarding PvP. Let's go.
Dimensional Trials.
Time attack dungeons with a competitive weekly leaderboard plus customizable difficulty.
Housing.
Everyone knows that housing is the true endgame when it comes to MMOs. This new feature will include long-term horizontal progression and prestigious customizable homes for you to unlock. Throne and Liberty has come a long way since it was first released, and it isn't quite what you remember, it's much better. So download Throne and Liberty today and join the Hyperboost servers. At number 10, we have Realm of the Mad God. This title encapsulates the true spirit of indie. The definition of indie usually refers to a small independent studio with limited resources that can't compete with a AAA studio. But it's more than that. It's about taking random game designs and smashing them together to make something that is not mainstream. Realm of the Mad God combines roguelike with MMO, and it does it in a 2D pixel art way, and it is just glorious. You have a bunch of different classes to choose from, but more so than that, you only have one life. So if you die, you delete your character and start again. But what I really love about this MMO is that it takes the concept of MMOs need to be grindy, and it basically fast tracks it. So max level to get to is level 20, and then after that you gain fame, but level 20 isn't that hard to get to. It will take you maybe an hour or two. But the idea is, if you are truly a god at this game, then your character will live on for a lifetime, and you can customize them, get the best in slot gear, and just improve your overall presence in the game. It has the usual MMO stuff like dailies and crafting. There's also pets and guilds, and a heap load of dungeons to get through. The idea is you all work together on a realm to face the Mad God himself, and you work together to take him down. So it encapsulates that MMO energy that everyone loves. It is free to play, but there is also a in-game cash shop, and if you're looking for a roguelike which will last slightly longer than 200 hours, yes, I love Potato, what of it? Then maybe this is the MMO crossover that you've been waiting for. Before we take a look at what's at number 9, just a quick shameless plug. I have a website, and on that website I'll have articles such as the top 10 free-to-play MMOs, the top 10 private servers, and of course the top 10 indie MMOs. There's also other guides and stuff on there for you to read, so please check it out. Anyway, number 9. I discovered Haven and Hearth last year, and I have to say it is a gem of a title. Now, I know it's not going to be to everyone's taste given the fact that it's got this 2D/3D look about it, but hey, people like RuneScape, right? What makes this game particularly interesting is that you only have one life, and if you do die, you have to start all over again. It does have survival elements. You load up with nothing and you have to go around, forage for material and slowly build up your worth. It has a very complex skilling and crafting system. You can gain something called learning points by discovering and foraging for new items out in the wild. These learning points can then be put towards different professions and skills, and these skills vary from farming to firemaking and even to magic and PvP. It is a open world sandbox that does give you freedom to interact with other players and even work together or become foes. But more than that, it is a persistent world, so even when you log off, it continues. You could be raided whilst you sleep, although there are protections against that, and PvP, although it is open world, isn't as common as you might think. The servers do go through a life cycle of wiping every year or so don't feel like you're going to be overwhelmed by how advanced everyone is. From the interactions I had with the community, they were very nice, very friendly, and honestly, it was kind of cozy, which is strange to think this of a game which is so hardcore. Despite only having one life, death isn't the end. If you do die, you can go recover your body and actually get your XP back along with your gear. I think this is a really fun MMO, and what makes it even better is that it's free and on Steam. So what are you waiting for? Go check it out. Wurm Online was Minecraft before Minecraft. It was a complex survival RPG where people were encouraged to interact with one another, share knowledge, and build communities together. It is indeed massively multiplayer, but it's also massively complex. On my playthrough, I attempted to build a house, and even that took me almost a day. I had to cut down the trees, I had to sand down the boards, I had to make nails, and to do that I had to go mine iron, which I then had to smelt. To do this, I had to build a furnace, and I had to get the iron to the correct temperature for it to be hot enough for me to smith it into nails. And then once I did have my wood, my nails, my hammer, which I then also had to craft, I had to place each bit of wood individually on my house. It took a lifetime, and I would 100% do it again, because for some reason this game just felt super rewarding. And when you see what other people have built, you really begin to realize how much time and love has gone into this game, not just by the devs but by the community itself. I will say this though, I think you have to be some level of artistic to enjoy this game, because it really is one where it takes a lot of concentration and mental focus. And guess what? It is once again free to play and on Steam, so make sure you check it out. Ethyrial Echoes of Yore has quite the coloured history. It was originally developed and produced by Geddy Berry Studios. Yes, that's a real name. However, on launch, it pretty much flopped. A fan of the game saw the potential of Echoes of Yore and actually ended up buying the rights to it. What they should have done is change the name of it. They dropped the subscription-based model and actually made it free to play. And since then, the game has been improving month after month, although the player numbers don't quite reflect how much this game has improved over the last year. So what makes this game so appealing? It blends classic RPG styles with a MMO feel, and yes, it looks very indie, mainly due to the store-bought assets. I generally like the gameplay, and I think it's sort of like RuneScape but with WASD. And if anything, the game just needs a little bit of polish, and that's no fault of the devs. They did buy a half-cooked game after all. But with time, love and care, I'm sure this will grow out to be a decent MMO. And it was fun to play with other people, and that's what MMO is all about, right? Being social. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen has done something which a lot of Kickstarters struggle to do, and that is get their product to Steam. Despite being in early access, I thought it was worth mentioning on the list just because of how far it's come. It was initially started back in 2014, and in that time, a lot has changed. But its key focus has always been to be a classic style MMORPG aimed at anyone who loved and adored EverQuest.
I'm gonna come.
There's a strong social feel about this game because it is hard to go and solo stuff yourself. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's definitely worth grouping up with friends. On its initial first few months of release on Steam, it did get respectable numbers, although it has dipped off recently. They do have some expansions and classes in the works though, and they're constantly building on the strong foundations that they've already laid. This MMO is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but they clearly have targeted the boomer market. And as a young whippersnapper, I did enjoy this title, and I look forward to see what future expansions have to offer. So if you are looking for a more laid-back MMO as opposed to the action combat ADHD TikTok dancing in Starbucks because I'm bisexual,
it's dead. The new world, it's dead. The play base are leaving. They're leaving in droves because there's no content.
then Pantheon might just be the game for you. Corepunk is another indie title which is not afraid to up the difficulty and try something a bit different. This small studio took inspiration from a lot of MOBAs and tried to implement it into a steampunk MMO, and I have to say it works really well. The top-down ARPG approach makes for interesting combat, and there is a very in-depth crafting and gearing system. I know there was some concerns because they used AI voice acting, but honestly, when it's an indie studio doing it, is it that big of a deal?
I said no! No!
I'll let you guys debate that in the comment section. Rather than creating your own character, you actually have 6 heroes to choose from, technically 12 because there's male and female versions, and they do plan on releasing another 6. It is technically once again in early access, with the full release being by the end of 2025, but there should be enough content to keep you tied over till then. Unfortunately, it's still on a standalone launcher, and I think if it did actually make its way to Steam, it would grow in popularity quite quickly. But until then, it's going to be one that you might not necessarily hear too much about, but by all means, it is worth giving a go. If you've watched my channel for a while now, you know that I utterly adore Mortal Online 2.
Entering Glizzy Overdrive.
Don't get me wrong, I don't play it as much as I'd like to, but it's just something about watching the world evolve and develop that I enjoy more than ever. Even watching the dev streams, which are hosted by Henrik, the CEO of Starvol, can be something of a theatrical display.
I have a fake beard. What kind of madness is that? This is my jawline and this is my beard. Is it that amazing that you think it's fake? I wouldn't ever have guessed that. I've never thought about that.
The guy literally looks like the Giga Chad meme, and that's not even an insult. I think as the years have gone by, the game has definitely progressed in a positive light. It is a open world sandbox with full loop PvP. However, they have been adding more direction to the sandbox by introducing new POIs, events, and of course what every MMO needs, daily requests. What really makes this game stand out is the immersion. It is forcing you into a first-person perspective, giving you that limited first-person view so you do feel like you're more involved with the environment. There is very limited information on what to do with craftable items and even where POIs actually are. So a lot of the times you'll have to speak to other players in-game, and you can do this using their VoIP system, which is super popular and used pretty much by everyone. There are of course dungeons that you can go and explore, and there's always a risk of running into other players, and some of them might not always be friendly. They have a very in-depth skill tree and crafting system, which means you can't just do everything. You're going to have to specialize in certain abilities and rely on other players to also help you. This really does drive the economy in Mortal Online 2. And better still, banks are localized, and so is the trading. So you will have to make journeys across the map to go to other towns and speak to other people. And whether it's by design or not, one of the biggest sales pitches is that there is one server for everyone to play on, which means you will eventually get to know everyone on that server. So when people talk about stuff that has happened in game, it's very likely that you could have been there at the same time witnessing it or being a part of it. But as much as I like glazing this game, there is still a lot of issues with it. It can run a bit janky sometimes, the combat is not very optimized, but you also have to buy the game and then pay for a monthly sub. I think it should be one or the other, not both. All in all though, it is a truly unique indie experience, and honestly, it's worth playing at least once. The more I talk about this game, the more I feel like I need to go back, do another video on it. What do you guys think? 2069 likes, and I will revisit Mortal Online 2. Now for a game that is truly breaking that MMO mold, and that is of course Foxhole. When we talk about MMOs, a lot of people instantly think of some medieval fantasy roleplay as opposed to what MMOs really are, which is massively multiplayer and online. Foxhole incorporates massive PvP along with resource gathering and building to give you this one-of-a-kind MMO. Despite being loosely based around World War II, it doesn't have that first-person shooter feel about it. If you remember Company of Heroes, it feels more like that. It also has VoIP and squads and guilds that you can join, and honestly, this game isn't for the faint-hearted. It isn't an easy one to just jump into. It's going to take a few hours to get used to it and hopefully get good at it. The Steam numbers have been pretty consistent over the last couple of months and is still very popular. And furthermore, they're working on a new title called Anvil Empires, which is going to be the same premises but based during the Roman Empire. So if you do want to try something different, this one is definitely worth adding to your Steam library. What can I say about Project Gorgon, which I haven't said already? Honestly, I've glazed this game quite a lot. I know it's not super popular, but it's just a nice refreshing feel to the MMO genre, mainly because it is more RPG than MMO, but it still has that MMO feel about it. Towns are populated with people, the economy is booming, and you will run into players all over the world. The only issue I have with this game is that I simply just don't have the time to play it. Similar to Mortal Online 2, it's very addictive and you can find yourself just getting lost in the world and winding up doing nothing for hours. And I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just that you're likely to neglect real-world responsibilities if you play these games too much. But if you've got the time on your hand, why not? Why shouldn't you transform into a deer and then spend your time role-playing as a deer by the lake talking to random strangers? And what's also quite refreshing is that they have a free demo on Steam so you can try before you buy. So what have you got to lose by trying it out? Before I reveal what number 1 is, I just want to give a shout out and some special mentions to some titles which didn't make the list. And there are a few which are left off, such as Ashes Creation and Star Citizen, because can you call them indie with the budgets that they have? No. And there are some other titles like Monsters and Memories, Apagia, and of course Stars Reach, which all look great, but they are still in alpha, and I don't really want to be saying, hey guys, these games are great, when they might change their whole direction. And if you do feel like I missed some really important ones, then let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll revise this list next year, or maybe I'll go play them, try them out for myself, and do a 100-hour review. But anyway, that's enough yapping. Let's take a look at what is number 1. It is, of course, Albion Online. I mean, how can we not have it as number 1? Look at the success it's had over the years, and look how far it's come. But furthermore, it did it by being different from all the other titles out there. It's a top-down, sandbox MMORPG with a PvP focus. It is a success story like no other, and it's a rare one in the MMO genre. But most importantly, it's fun to play, it's social, and it still has a decent sized population. The game gets yearly updates, and there's a strong community feel about it. Honestly, if you haven't played Albion Online by now, give it a go. I know it's PvP focused, which puts a lot of people off, but there's still a lot of other stuff to do. For instance, it's got the most Care Bear feature in the world, and that is of course housing. It has a strong economy, which means you could just be a player who just accumulates a lot of money. That's what you're into. There's also PvE dungeons that you can do, and I know not many people like this, but it's also available on mobile. I think it goes to show that innovation in the MMO genre isn't quite dead yet. You can set yourself apart by being different and still be successful. And on that bombshell, that concludes my top 10 indie MMOs you should check out. Let me know in the comment section below if you think I've missed any off, or if you'd put them in a different order. As I said earlier, check out my slop website with its slop articles, and if you want to see more slop like this, then please leave a like. Otherwise, how would I know you like this stuff? And if you want to support the channel further, feel free to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member. By doing so, you'll get extra benefits like Discord secret channel, and oh yeah, I drop previews of my videos I'm working on, so if you're impatient, you can watch the intros. Oh, and handpicked. Sometimes I post pictures of my hand holding stuff. I know. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Bye-bye.